You know that feeling, right? That sort of constant drive for self-improvement. You're trying to juggle everything, health, hobbies, personal growth, and then actually tracking your progress across all that. It can feel, well, pretty overwhelming, like you're mapping this landscape that just keeps shifting. Sometimes it feels like you don't have much to show for all the effort. Well, today we're going to dive into something fascinating that tackles exactly that. One person's incredibly detailed weekly progress report. Yeah, our source material for this deep dive is Eng's Week 35, a holistic progress report, which just came out August 31st, 2025. And this isn't, some dry academic paper. It's a really detailed, um, very personal look at one individual's effort to manage and improve, well, pretty much everything. We're talking sleep patterns, coding projects, the whole 9 yards. It's honestly a goldmine if you're curious about structured self-assessment, and specifically for you, our listener, who actually shared these fantastic insights with us.
Exactly. And our mission here, really, is to pull out the key nuggets of wisdom from Aang's meticulous tracking. We're going to look for patterns, maybe uncover some surprising things about consistency, adaptability, and even see how, modern tools are getting woven into personal development these days. The idea is to give you, our specific listener, a kind of shortcut to understanding this holistic tracking approach, and hopefully spark some ideas for everyone listening about their own growth. Let's get into it.
All right, let's delve into Eng's Week 35. I mean, this report is seriously thorough. Sleep, coding, everything in between. But, so much of well-being really starts with health, doesn't it? So as we look at Eng's health stuff, what's the first thing that jumps out at you?
Well, what's really insightful, I think, is how Aang even frames their health goal. It's to empower myself to pursue other things actively and healthfully by improving your quality of life in the long run. So it's not just about hitting numbers, right? It's about building this solid foundation so you can do other things. But Aang's data really paints a picture of something I sometimes call like cascading vulnerability in personal systems. How one seemingly small issue can kind of create this subtle drag that undermines other efforts. Okay, take Aang's sleep, for example. An average of 7 hours a day. That's what, 49 hours over the week? Range of 6 to 9 hours? On paper, that sounds pretty decent, right? But Aang flags this key issue of fragmentation. Multiple sleep sessions per day, especially after dinner, not one solid block. On one day, they actually had 3 separate sleep periods. And as Aang points out, this fragmentation, well, it can negatively impact sleep quality even if the total duration is sufficient. So you hit the quantity target, maybe, but the quality tanks. You miss out on that deep restorative stuff. And that sets up the cascade. Yeah, and then this ripples into physical activity. Aang averaged, 4,845 steps a day, about 33,900 total for the week, which they did note was slightly better than last week. So that's a positive. But the self-awareness about why it wasn't higher is key. They mentioned being in recovery from my erratic sleep schedule. Plus, several days of cold, raining days meant less gardening, so a rather slow week. You see how the fragmented sleep trains energy, and then something external like weather hits the opportunities for movement. It's not just willpower, it's systemic. Then, nutrition. Aang does 16.8 intermittent fasting. Their weight was relatively stable, averaged 66.47 kilos, down just slightly, zero point 0.2 kilos. They know daily fluctuations are normal, mentioning a range of 66.00 to 66.85 kilos. Now, connecting the dots, Aang suspects both the bad sleep and increased self-cooked meals are why the weight reduction towards 65 kilos is slow but steady. Their diet ratio is aiming for 2.2.1 plants, protein, carbs, but sometimes it's 1.2.1, half cooked at home, half outside. So this mix, maybe combined with the sleep issue, gives a pretty nuanced picture of the weight trend. And lastly, workouts. Aang managed a 6-minute or 7-minute workout, which was noted as slight lower than usual. And again, the reasons: cold raining days and having nap after meals.
The naps again?
Right. And what's also telling is nothing on the push-up daily routines was done.
Yeah.
The whole section just underlines how easily routines get knocked off track by weather, sure, but also by other habits like those post-meal naps, which, might themselves be a symptom of the poor sleep quality.
That sleep fragmentation point is huge, and seeing how clearly it ripples into steps, diet, workouts. Wow. It's almost like Aang's body is trying to microdose rest all day, which, let's be honest, many of us feel like doing after a big lunch. But thinking about you, our listener, maybe facing similar things, good intentions, but life or, the quality of your efforts gets in the way. What's maybe one practical step Aang could try this week to really tackle that sleep quality, not just track it? And how do you advise someone to focus on quality when just hitting the quantity number feels like a victory sometimes? Right? Aang's health journey really shows that intentions are, well, just the start. The real game is managing that messy interplay of internal quality, like sleep, and external factors, like rain. That interconnectedness is a big theme here. So building on that, let's pivot. Let's move from the body's struggles to maybe the mind and skills. What do Eng's sections on meditation, cooking, decluttering, reading tell about cultivating that inner world as practical skills, especially when some goals seem, well, easier to stick with than others?
Yeah, these sections show this really interesting tension, I think, between the big goals and the small daily actions. Take meditation. The goal is to exercise your mind. Aang keeps up regular sitting meditation, typically 1 minute or so, doing a progression of 3 steps.
That's a perfect micro habit, isn't it? Just a minute, but it anchors the practice, builds consistency without being daunting.
Totally.
And they also weave in walking meditation for 1 to 5 minutes during everyday things, grocery runs after dinners, raking dried leaves, gardening works, or during house chores. The mental noting is described quite stoically, as stoic as usual, even though feeling rather drowsy on some days.
Hmm.
That shows real resilience, right? Even when feeling off, the practice happens. That's key for the long haul. Okay, next, cooking. Goal: take control of our consumption and manage it ourselves and learn new skill. And here you see practical learning happening. Aang is focusing on prepping vegetables in the fast and effective manner. Specifically mentions making regular miso soup with vegetables, prawn, fish, tofu, and occasionally beans mixed together with noodle.
Sounds pretty good, actually. Yeah. And for eggs, still mastering basics. Hard-boiled eggs, 1 or 2 in a day, and occasionally steam eggs as well.
Huh.
It just shows that focused, step-by-step approach, building the foundation patiently. Decluttering fits the adopt a minimalist lifestyle goal, and the daily habit is brilliant in its simplicity. On the way to the kitchen, clear 1 item from any areas within the house.
Oh, I like that. One item.
Yeah. It makes progress consistent, but totally manageable. Aang notes good progress on the receipts, scratch notes, as well as some books in the workspace, and they're looking ahead, hoping to declutter more during this long holiday, so planning for bigger chunks of effort too. And finally, reading goals: to improve my writing, consume wisely, and boost my mental health. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's this specific health book, Dasha, it was like blood pressure, blood sugar, blood lipids control guide, Aang notes. Still nothing on this yet.
Ah, the should-read book.
Exactly. But they are consistently spending 5 to 10 minutes each day browsing a variety of books, usually skimming through fiction titles and some gardening books. So you see the difference, right? The aspirational, maybe tougher goal versus the enjoyable, consistent habit of just browsing. The common thing, that tension.
It really is striking how Aang balances that clear intention with, well, the day-to-day reality. It shines a light on that tension we all feel between who we want to be and what we actually manage to do. Doing a minute of meditation, clearing 1 item, simming books, it shows the power of those tiny, consistent actions, no doubt. But then you see that health guide just sitting there, and it makes you wonder, right? Like, while microhabits are great for consistency, could relying only on them slow down progress too much if someone needs bigger changes in one area? Or maybe, when does that nothing yet become a signal to, I don't know, rethink the goal itself instead of just waiting for that long holiday energy boost? Okay, so we've seen Aang grapple with health, mind, internal stuff, external stuff. Now let's shift to the passion projects and how innovation sneaks in. The report covers coding, writing, fish keeping, gardening, photography. It really paints this picture of someone who's curious, engaged, not just ticking boxes, but actively learning, exploring, even contributing back. It's a really diverse set of interests.
Absolutely. This is where Aang's multifaceted curiosity really comes alive, and we see some cool, innovative stuff happening. Let's kick off with coding. The goal is to enjoy building stuff, learn, and contribute back to the Floss communities. Free Libre open source software. Aang mentions a strategy change for their daily PR contributions, pull requests like documentation updates, CI tweaks, test cases for languages like Go, Python, Elixir, Erlang, or Rust, GPR as Aang calls it. Instead of deep dives, they're now hopping through different GitHub repositories, addressing trivial typos across various projects that have piqued my interest.
Huh, interesting pivot.
Yeah. It's a great example of adapting your approach to stay engaged and still contribute, just maybe in a broader, less intensive way. And this brings up a really relevant question for all of us, I think. How do we best use modern tools for our own projects, for learning? Aang gives us a fantastic example. They talk about using an LLM, a large language model, to bootstrap another Python pet project from scratch entirely. The purpose, Aang says it was to evaluate how the LLM will approach a problem based on my past projects and how it would do it differently.
So using AI as a sort of brainstorming partner.
Exactly. Aang found they learned quite a few things from the code and the approach the LLM suggested. And they conclude the LLM is definitely a beneficial tool to scratch our itch and explore different fun projects we're keen to start, but never started all these years.
Okay.
It's like AI as a creative catalyst, right? Not just for getting things done faster, but as a partner to help explore ideas, lower the barrier to entry for those projects you've put off. Almost like it gives you permission to just start that fun side project. Okay then, writing. The aim is to communicate and convey my thoughts more effectively and document my progress and discoveries. Output's been consistent. Publish 2 posts per day and read back old posts, covering a mix gardening, photography, dieting, and fish keeping. Aang wants to explore different topics in the upcoming week due to the long holiday, so looking for a variety there. But similar to the health book, the goal of blogging about interesting PR or libraries on Go, Python, Elixir, Erlang, or Rust, GPR, noted as nothing on this yet.
Another nothing yet.
Yeah, it shows even with high output in general writing, specific, maybe more demanding technical writing goals can still be on the back burner. Gardening goal, to improve your health, connect with nature, and learn a new skill. This is seeing some action but foundational stuff. Hang, bought some new seeds but haven't started them yet? Planning to transplant existing seedlings first? Makes sense. The concrete action taken was, started my decluttering at the backyard balcony where I need to clear spaces for new seed germination projects.
Preparing the ground, literally.
Exactly. Preparing for future growth, even if the main action isn't happening quite yet. Fish keeping goal, to experience the joy of fish keeping and breeding. Status here is still nothing on this yet for a specific yellow-blue rack setup, and nothing much on this yet regarding finding species for some outdoor ponds. It's just refreshingly honest seeing these nothing yet entries. We all have those, don't we?
We certainly do.
And finally, photography. Goal, to capture memories and explore your creativity by expressing your thoughts through stories. Current status, still contemplating finding the best macro lens for your mobile phone. Classic example of an interest where you're in the research phase, thinking about it, but haven't quite pulled the trigger on the next concrete step. Maybe needs more info, maybe just mental bandwidth.
Wow, what a mix. Open source coding, nurturing plants, using AI creatively. Aang is clearly not just tracking things passively. They're actively learning, experimenting across this huge range of activities and documenting it all. Even the nothing yet bits becomes this really powerful form of accountability, doesn't it? And a clear reflection of where energy is actually going. It's like a snapshot of priorities, potential, and just that persistent curiosity. Thinking about that AI permission giver idea, how might a tool like an LLM help you, our listener, with your own passion projects? Get something unstuck. And what does Aang's report really tell us about that natural ebb and flow of creative work? You know, how some ideas need to simmer while others just need the right spark to take off.
Yeah, bringing this deep dive into Aang's Week 35 together, what this report really represents is, well, a living example of a holistic approach to getting better. It's so much more than just a list. It's this dynamic picture of how different parts of life interact. We saw that cascading vulnerability, sleep quality, hitting activity and weight. But we also saw the flip side, how small, consistent actions, 1 minute of meditation, 1 item decluttered, build up over time, creating resilience. And crucially, Aang shows us how tech, like these LLMs, isn't just about efficiency. It can be this AI creative catalyst sparking new projects, opening up totally new ways to learn and explore. It's just a really dynamic snapshot of personal growth, showing resilience, adaptation, and being open to new tools.
So wrapping up, what are the big takeaways here for you, our listener, especially the one who shared Aang's amazing report? We've definitely seen the value in consistent, detailed tracking, even if it's just one person's week. We've dug into how seemingly small things, like that sleep fragmentation, can have a huge impact. Quality often matters more than just quantity, right? We saw how external factors, like the weather, play a real role in our daily habits. Can't ignore that. And we saw the evolving place of new tools, like LLMs, in personal growth and just exploring hobbies. Aang's journey, really, it's a microcosm of that daily human effort trying to do better, learn more, live with more intention. It's about being present, accountable to yourself, celebrating the wins, but also honestly facing those nothing yet moments, knowing they're all just part of the process.
So, considering Aang's incredibly detailed report, here's a final thought to ponder. What single small habit in your own life, if you tracked it and refined it with that kind of intention, what surprising ripple effect might that have across your week? Or could it even unlock a new passion, maybe one you've been putting off for a while? Something to think about as you go about your week.